Welcome, age of vintage society. Betty Grable's sly smile turned toward the camera is one of the most iconic images in history. As the pin-up queen of the world, Grable lived a scandalous life that's the stuff of Hollywood movies, while her girl-next-door image has endured through the 21st century. The reality of her dark, dramatic life was anything but ideal. Why was Betty Grable's $1 million legs the only hope during the World War II? Make sure to watch the video until the end and leave your thoughts in the comments. If you are new here, join our wonderful community by subscribing to the Age of Vintage channel. The girl with the $1 million legs. Betty's movie career is a distant memory now, but there was a time when Betty Grable was the hottest thing going in Hollywood. Grable was a massive star of the 1940s, one whose airy comedies and musicals helped lighten the national mood during the tense times of World War II, and her famous pin-up picture was beloved by countless soldiers and sailors while they served, her sunny smile reminding them of home. Betty Grable, by name of Ruth Elizabeth Grable, was born December 18, 1916, St. Louis. She was an American film actress and dancer who was one of the leading box office draws of the 1940s. She was the third child born to Lillian Hoffman and John Con Grable. One son, John, died early in 1916. Betty's father was a stockbroker, and her mother focused her energy on show business aspirations for her daughters. When Betty's older sister Marjorie showed a lack of talent and interest, all of Lillian's attention shifted to Betty. She had German, English, Irish and Dutch ancestry. Her mother was a stubborn and materialistic woman determined to make her daughter a star. Elizabeth, who became Betty, was enrolled in Clark's dancing school at the age of 3. With her mother's guidance, Betty studied ballet and tap dancing. Betty and her mother set out for Hollywood with the hopes of stardom. Lillian lied about her daughter's age, and Betty, real age 13, landed several minor parts in films in 1930. As a youth, Betty made many vaudeville performances. She was eventually seen in St. Louis by a talent scout from Hollywood, California. The scout told Lillian to bring Betty to Hollywood. Soon the family was packed into a 7-passenger custom-built Lincoln automobile that Con had purchased for the journey. Upon arrival on the West Coast, Betty was enrolled at the Hollywood Professional School. She attended the Ernest Belcher Academy for her dancing lessons and the Albertina Rash School for her acting classes. When the Great Depression hit, Con had one of the worst professions in the country as a stockbroker. However, he found a way to keep enough funds available for Betty to remain in Hollywood. Lillian continued taking her to auditions and parading her before casting directors. She transported her to beauty contests and to appear in theatre shows until Betty answered a chorus call at Fox Studios for a film called Let's Go Places. Since the minimum age for chorus work was 15, Lillian signed false identification papers so that the 13-year-old Betty was hired. When Betty's true age was discovered by Fox, she was fired. Lillian immediately drove Betty over to the casting offices of Goldwyn United Artists. Producer Samuel Goldwyn signed Betty to a contract, and her first job was to sing the opening line in the first scene of the 1930 musical WWII. Bit parts continued for the next 3 years until Betty finally landed a featured spot in the RKO musical The Gay Divorcee in 1934. RKO signed her to a second contract and dyed her hair platinum blonde. However, Betty continued to seesaw between bit parts and leads. She began a series of campus-themed films that identified her for years to come as the wholesome, vivacious, all-American co-ed. RKO dropped their young starlet's contract in the spring of 1937, after her budding romance with former child star Jackie Coogan became a news item. Betty and Jackie were married in November 1937, shortly after Betty signed a new contract with Paramount Pictures. All this while Grable has not achieved much success, and Paramount also decided to relieve her of the contract. The frustrated Grable planned to leave Hollywood, but then upon a second look decided to try her luck on Broadway. She starred primarily in musicals with formulaic plots that embraced her wholesome, good-natured screen image and featured athletic dance numbers which showed off her shapely legs. Betty Grable rose to fame with her role in the Broadway musical Du Barry Was a Lady in 1939, after accepting the offer from Buddy DeSilva. The play was very successful, and that was a huge leap towards a successful career. Her performance in the play gained the attention of Darrell F. Zanuck, head of 20th Century Fox, who decided to cast her in the musical film Down Argentine Way, 1940. The role was to be played by actress Alice Faye, but who declined it for health reasons. The film was very successful critically and at the box office. A Hollywood movie studio dubbed the 1943 pin-up of actress Betty Grable the picture that launched a million dreams. The term pin-up was coined to describe the photographs of female actresses and singers that would decorate the barracks and planes of countless soldiers during World War II. Entertainers remaining on the home front during the war used their celebrity in a variety of ways to advance the war effort. The most famous pin-up to come out of World War II was Grable's. Her photograph, showing Grable from behind in a bathing suit, peering over her shoulder and smiling playfully with her hands on her hips, represented the girl back on the home front for thousands of homesick soldiers, and reminded them daily of what they were fighting for. It is regarded as second in popularity among wartime photographs, only to the American flag-raising scene at Iwo Jima. Grable's was the most popular pin-up photo of the World War II era, surpassing other beloved and beautiful stars like Rita Hayworth and Veronica Lake. The 1943 image is unforgettable. Her back to the camera, Grable turns her head and shoulders back to grin at the camera. Her blonde hair is piled high on her head, but it's her legs that we noticed first, revealed by her bathing suit and enhanced by high-heeled pumps. It sold millions of copies. 1 out of 5 US servicemen in World War II owned a copy. One of the many soldiers who stared at it from their overseas bunks was a young Hugh Hefner, who served in the US Army from 1944 to 1946. He later reported that Grable's unforgettable pin-up gave him the early germ of the idea for the magazine that would become a media empire, Playboy. In 1943, 20th Century Fox had Betty's legs insured with Lloyd's of London for the record $1.2 million, giving her the nickname the Girl with the $1 Million Legs. You may have heard that Grable's legs were insured for $1 million by her studio. 20th Century Fox took out the ostentatious policy as a publicity stunt after promoting a dubious beauty contest and naming their top star the winner of the Best Legs competition. But her legs really were the best, according to hosiery specialists. The proportions of her legs, 18.5-inch thigh, 12-inch calf and 7.5-inch ankle, were considered the ideal of the time. Grable frequently showed off her most famous assets in movies and in her iconic pin-up photo, and she even pressed one into the wet cement outside Grauman's Chinese Theatre, when she added her signature to its gallery of handprints and footprints. She was the highest paid woman in America. When we say Grable's career was hot, we mean it was sizzling. Throughout the 1940s, she was the top-earning female star in Hollywood, and in 1943 she was named by theatre owners as the top box office drawer of them all, beating out major competition including Cary Grant, Bing Crosby and Humphrey Bogart. Her unbeatable star power was thanks in large part to cheerful, fun films including Springtime in the Rockies, Coney Island and Pin-Up Girl. In them she sang, danced and flirted her way into the hearts of Americans, and while doing so she raked in the dough. In 1946 and 1947 she was certified by the US Treasury Department as the highest paid woman in the entire country, earning $300,000 a year. In the mid-1950s, however, Grable's movie career declined in tandem with the decrease in the popularity of the conventional backstage musicals she specialized in. She then headlined shows in Las Vegas, Nevada, sometimes appearing with band leader Harry James, to whom she was married from 1943 to 1965. She also starred in the road companies of hit stage shows and was one of the most popular replacement stars of the long-running Broadway musical Hello, Dolly. She was good friends with Marilyn Monroe. You're excused if you thought the opposite, because Hollywood gossip portrayed the two blonde stars as bitter rivals. Grable, 10 years older, was nearing the end of her career as Monroe's star began to rise, and she was supposed to have been jealous of the young and beautiful woman who was being touted as the next Betty Grable. But when they starred together in 1953's How to Marry a Millionaire, they didn't clash. In fact, they formed a close friendship. Monroe greatly admired Grable, looking to her as an inspiration for her career, and for her part, Grable found in Monroe a source of friendly support. Asked about her friend after Monroe's death, Grable said, "It may sound peculiar to say so because she is no longer with us, but we were very close. Once when we were doing that picture, How to Marry a Millionaire, together, I got a call on the set. My younger daughter had had a fall. I ran home and the one person to call was Marilyn. She did an awful lot to boost things up for movies when everything was at a low state. There'll never be anyone like her for looks, for attitude, for all of it." On May 25, 1953, at the height of the era of nuclear testing in the Nevada desert, the US detonated a weapon as part of the Upshot Knothole series of tests. The weapon was named Grable, one of many tested nuclear weapons named after people. This one was dubbed in direct homage to the big screen star. Talk about a bombshell. Over the next several decades, Grable became one of the most prolific and successful actresses of all time, performing in hundreds of films. She solidified her place in Hollywood lore with outstanding performances in Guys and Dolls. Her career came to a sudden halt when she was diagnosed with lung cancer in 1972. She died less than 1 year later. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you are new here, and if you want to support my work, please visit my Patreon page. Now it is your turn. What do you think about the life and legacy of Betty Grable? She really gave hope for the homesick soldiers back then with her perfect legs and figure.